In 1920, black farmers operated about 41.4 million acres in the United States. In 2022, farms with at least one black producer operated about 5.3 million. That is a difference of roughly 36 million acres. But those numbers need a warning label. Land operated is not the same as land owned, and the census changed how it counted farmers over the century. The endpoints are not perfectly comparable. Still, they reveal a historic collapse in black-operated farms and acreage. How did it happen? There was no single cause, and not every acre was stolen. Some families sold, retired, or left farming by choice. American agriculture itself was transformed. But black farmers also faced violence, discriminatory credit, unequal access to government programs, and inheritance laws that could turn family land into a legal trap. The story begins with an unfulfilled opening after the Civil War. In January 1865, General William Tecumseh Sherman's Special Field Orders No. 15 set aside certain confiscated coastal lands in South Carolina, Georgia, and northern Florida for freed families, in plots of up to 40 acres. It was limited, not a nationwide land grant. Later that year, President Andrew Johnson's policies enabled most of that land to be restored to former owners. Without broad land redistribution, many freed people entered tenancy and sharecropping. These systems offered families more control over daily life than slavery had, but crop lines and merchant credit could lock them into debt. Food, seed, and supplies came before harvest. High charges, weak bargaining power, or accounting controlled by someone else could leave a family owing money after the crop was sold. And yet, black farmers acquired land. Families saved, bought small tracts, organized cooperatives, and built rural communities. By 1920, the census recorded about 926,000 black-operated farms. A farm could mean food, housing, income, collateral, and an inheritance. Ownership reduced dependence on a landlord and helped sustain churches, schools, businesses, and civic life. In parts of the Jim Crow South, that economic and political independence could provoke white retaliation. Some black landowners and communities were threatened, attacked, or driven away. Violence and intimidation did not explain every loss, and no reliable national total tells us how many acres disappeared this way. But for a family forced to flee, possession on paper offered little protection. Credit created another pressure point. Farming requires money months before harvest for seed, fertilizer, machinery, repairs, and household expenses. A loan delayed until after planting can be nearly as damaging as a denial. Federal farm policy became deeply involved in credit, benefits, and technical assistance. Yet programs were often administered through state and local institutions. During the New Deal, crop reduction policies affected tenants and sharecroppers of different races, and some landowners failed to pass along payments owed to the people working the fields. In the segregated South, politically connected local groups controlled access to many services, while black farmers had less influence. Government reports later documented black farmers' applications being denied, reduced, poorly assisted, or delayed. In 1999, a federal judge approved the Pigford consent decree, settling class allegations of discrimination in USDA farm credit and benefit programs. It created 2 tracks for individual claims, with possible monetary, debt, tax, and other relief. It was not a judgment that every claim had been proved, and it could not restore every farm already lost. Inheritance law created a different vulnerability. When an owner died without a will, or an estate was never formally settled, descendants could inherit undivided shares in the same parcel. Over generations, children, grandchildren, and cousins might all become co-owners. This is commonly called heirs property. The family may see one home place, but the law sees many people holding rights in the entire parcel, not separate, marked-off pieces. That can make it difficult to prove clear title, borrow against the land, manage timber, make improvements, or qualify for assistance. It can also expose the family to partition. Under traditional partition law, any co-owner can ask a court to divide the property. That co-owner might be a relative or an outsider who bought a small inherited share. If the land cannot be divided fairly, a court may order the whole parcel sold, even when most relatives want to keep it. Forced auctions can bring less than market value. Unclear records, tax debt, legal costs, boundary disputes, and dishonest transactions created still more risks. No source can assign a trustworthy share of the national decline to each mechanism. Often, the mechanisms reinforced one another. A late operating loan could reduce a harvest. Weak income could deepen debt or make taxes harder to pay. An unclear title could block the assistance needed to recover. The final record might show a foreclosure, tax sale, partition sale, or even a voluntary sale, without showing the unequal chain of events behind it. The larger transformation of farming mattered too. Mechanization reduced the need for labor. Bigger operations gained advantages of scale, while small farms across racial groups struggled to finance new technology. Between 1910 and 1970, an estimated 6 million Black Americans left the South during the Great Migration, pursuing industrial work, safety, and different futures. Some farm owners sold, and some descendants chose careers away from the land. But structural change did not strike everyone with equal force. A well-capitalized farmer might survive low prices, modernize equipment, or wait through a bad season. A farmer denied timely credit, legal support, political influence, or fair access to federal programs had less room to recover. The loss then compounded. Descendants lost not just soil, but future crops, timber, rent, appreciation, and collateral. Rural communities lost population, customers, institutions, and political voice. Reforms now address parts of the problem. Where states have enacted the Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act, families may receive stronger notice, a court-supervised valuation, an opportunity for co-owners to buy out the person seeking a sale, and a preference for physically dividing land when feasible. USDA also accepts certain alternative documents from heirs property operators seeking a farm number and supports a relending program for some ownership and succession issues. None of these measures guarantees that a family will keep its land. Black farmers and cooperatives nevertheless continue to farm, organize, and rebuild. The historical record does not support one simple story about 36 million stolen acres. It supports something more complicated. National economic change passing through institutions that were profoundly unequal. Black families built rural independence acre by acre. Much of it vanished through many doors, sometimes by choice, sometimes by force, and often through pressures that accumulated one season and one generation at a time.